Do you think Jay Cutler versus Ronnie Coleman is the #1 bodybuilding rivalry of all time? And if not, where do you think it ranks? What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm interviewing Jay Cutler, 4-time Mr Olympia, 3-time Arnold Classic champion. And I discuss with him if he thinks his and Ronnie Coleman's rivalry was the biggest in bodybuilding of all time, and he discusses why or why not and the reasons behind it. Also, this is just a short out of the main interview I did with Jay Cutler that will be going up a few days after this one, and it is a great interview. It's going to be a two-parter because honestly I think it goes for about 1 hour and 40 minutes, so you guys will love it. There's questions in there that Jay's never really been asked much before, so I think you guys will really get something out of it and really enjoy it and find out about the real Jay Cutler. Anyway, on with the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. And if you like this content, make sure you give me a thumbs up on this video. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself with all these interviews from Desktop Bodybuilding. Do you think Jay Cutler versus Ronnie Coleman is the #1 bodybuilding rivalry of all time? And if not, where do you think it ranks?
I think it's the greatest. And I'm not just, people can knock on, okay, well, it's easy for Jay to say. And, you know, I think people are generally receptive to what I say, right? Because I always give reason behind it. I hate to give you an answer and say, yeah, it was the greatest. Because, you know, you built up, like, you had the greatest bodybuilder arguably, okay, I'm not going to say, you know, people say Arnold was better or whatever, but physique-wise, he was the best ever, right? No one will ever top Ronnie Coleman as far as muscle definition, all that. And no Mr. Olympia had ever lost, right? So when you get second consistently, like 01 I was second, 02 I skipped, 3, 4, 5, I won in 6. And then, you know, one after that, he quit. You know, he came back in 07, but, you know, it really wasn't a rivalry because he wasn't landing second to me. You know, no one had ever lost on stage, and no one had ever had that, like, you know, like kind of two mass monsters fighting back and forth, and nothing came between us in that amount of time. And when you have the posters being done for the Mr. Olympia that feature, you know, myself and Ronnie as like the headliners, you know, people are coming to see that show, and they were the Jay fans and they were the Ronnie fans, and then there were the people like, I just want to see a great show. So I think it was the greatest. I think it was, you know, the sport was still building. Remember, when I started competing at 99 at the Olympia, we really didn't have an expo with the Mr. Olympia. It was at Mandalay Bay. You probably don't remember this, but it wasn't until like 03 or 02, like they started building the expo around it. And then it started on pay-per-view television. So we had, you know, Hunter, Triple H, headline. He was like announcing the show, if you remember the challenge rounds in like 04 and 05. So the thing was televised. I mean, it was on, you could have paid to watch it. It wasn't just like, oh, join a webcast. So I was in those years where it was very, very, the platform was growing. And AMI bought the Olympia in like 2000, whatever it was, 2003. So it became like more of a national event. There was a lot of changes, but I think that made a good story, and I think the Ronnie Coleman battles were like set the standard for like the top two guys. Like I said, we could have seen Phil Heath, Kai Green, and you could have questioned if that was larger, but it didn't really last as long.
Yeah, for sure. And like when you say it's the biggest rivalry of all time, you go, oh, is it? And then you actually look back at the days of Arnold, but he never had that one rival that was just way above everyone else. He had Sergio. Some people say Lou Ferrigno, when Lou didn't even, in that Pumping Iron film, he didn't even finish second in the contest. So you can't really make that argument. And when you think through those eras, there's no two guys that were just going at each other like a Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, and listen, the prize was a lot bigger, right? I mean, we were making a living at it. Like, remember, I was sponsored by Muscle Tech. He was sponsored by BSN. We had the two biggest contracts, the money was growing. He was giving out Escalades at the time at the Olympia. That was the biggest prize there alongside, you know, the cash. And it was just, there was a lot of aura to the whole thing. And that's kind of why I think that it was the way it was as far as being the greatest rivalry ever. And I don't know if it will be duplicated, because you need to have the consistency of two guys battling out. And right now, if I asked you as a reporter or a media person, who's going to be the top two at the Olympia this year? You can't even say, right? There's no sure. If you asked that many years ago, and when I met you, who was going to be top two at the Olympia? Oh, Jay Cutler Ronnie Coleman, right? So it is the greatest. I mean, I don't think there's any argument there, and I think everyone would agree with that. That's in that era.